burden's on you. If the IRS comes up to you on the street and says you owe me $50 and you pay them $50, then you must have owed it. Well, that's really what it comes down to.
Glenn?
Anyways.
Can I just want to, I don't want to break your stride, but I did want to kind of insert here that they do really get quite a bit mad when you go in there to their court and you stand in honor and you stand under God. I just had an experience. I still don't think this thing's on, brother. Okay, you can hear me? Okay, but I just had an experience here a couple weeks ago where I have a case that's already been kind of in motion. I went into the court. I tried to deny the name to stand in honor under God, and boy, that judge got mad, and he sent me out into the hallway, and he threatened to throw me in contempt of court into the jail cell and back. And when I came back from talking to the lawyers out in the hall, I wasn't allowed to say, okay, yeah, that's me, under duress or anything like that even. So I just went in there, and the man looked at me and said, Mr. Sprayberry, you are Mr. Sprayberry. And I just gathered all the peace and love of God in my heart, and I said, yes, sir, and I forgive you. And boy, they don't like that. I thought the man was going to have a heart attack, but I didn't want to interrupt. But go ahead, Glenn.
Yeah, you know, that's if you lay your foundation properly, like what we're going to talk about today, okay, then you will never be going in there. Okay, they won't want to talk to you. They won't want you in there. They won't want anything to do with you. When they see you, they will turn and run. Okay, if it's done properly. When they see you, they will turn and run. There's a guy I heard about in Canada. I never met this guy, but I heard about him. That in Canada, the speed limits are in kilometers, right? And the highest speed limit I saw in Canada was 110 clicks, which is about 68 miles an hour. Well, this guy does 140 clicks everywhere he goes, and that's like about 90 miles an hour. And what will happen is the cops will come ripping up behind him, cherries going, sirens going. He doesn't even stop for them. He just keeps right on going. And the cop will be, and what you know what's happening, the cop is calling in on radio, his license plate and all that. All of a sudden, cherry goes off, siren goes off, cop pulls over and just leaves. Wow. If you know who you are, okay, they will not want to talk to you under any circumstances. And I know a guy that actually did this where in Canada, he went and his wife was a telephone operator. He was telling me about this. His wife was a telephone operator, and the RCMP took his license. They just felt like being jerks. And his wife was a telephone operator. She got him the phone number for the Queen. And he called up the Queen in England. And the Queen didn't answer, but her executive secretary did. And he said, so what does the RCMP need my license for? And he told him what happened. And the guy on the other end says, don't worry, I'll take care of it. And he said within 2 hours, and it was like 2 o'clock in the morning, he said 2 RCMP constables showed up at his door in full dress uniforms and gave him his driver's license back. And then they said, our staff sergeant wants to talk to you in the morning. And so in the morning, he went down, talked to him, and the staff sergeant says, before you call the Queen, come talk to me. And then, and then what happened? Then what happened is he was telling me that that every time he said he got stopped one time, and this was in Saskatchewan where this happened. He said he got stopped once, and he didn't know he was in some database or anything like that, but he got stopped once, and he gave the cop the straw man's driver's license and all that stuff. And the cop went and took it and came back in a couple minutes, and he says, I apologize. He said, I didn't realize it was you, Mr. Zachow. Have a nice day. I'm not supposed to be stopping you. Wow. So, again, do you know who you are? Okay? Do you know who you are? You gotta, it's not just talking the talk, you gotta walk the walk. You gotta be the king. They know who the boss is. Sovereignty exists because of common law. The people in all countries with the common law, England, owe their sovereignty to the common law. And it goes back older than itself, and we're going to talk about that. In Canada, United States, Australia, New Zealand, all common law countries in the world, the people are the sovereignty. Yes, I know that when other people are talking, you're not getting it, and so I try and cover it in what I'm saying. So yeah, it's severely deficient on how this is set up. There's no doubt about it. Anyways, common law was brought into England with the Magna Carta. The commentaries on the laws of England made by Sir Edward Coke. Okay, that's where this is taken from, and it existed prior to the Magna Carta, and it probably existed from the beginning of time. I mean, I mean, the Bible talks about that essentially too. You know, if you think about it, the law of England is divided into three parts: the common law, which is the most general and ancient law of the realm; statutes or acts of Parliament; and particular customs. The common law appeareth in the statute of the Magna Carta and other ancient statutes, which for the most parts are affirmations of the common law. And that's a direct quote out of the first part of the Institutes of the Laws of England, but written by Sir Edward Coke, who lived from 1552 to 1634. Now, affirmations, think about it. All they are is affirming something that's already there. That's all they're doing, okay? Now, there's two kinds of law. There's positive law and there's non-positive law. Okay? Positive law is law passed with legitimate authority, passed to protect the rights of the people, and non-positive law is colorable legislation. It's color of law. And we're going to talk about that. It's right in front of us. All of this stuff is right in front of us. All we need to do is look to see it. It's you know, they bury it in this law library that's got hundreds, if not thousands, of books. And it's like a forest, but you can't see the forest for the trees. Non-positive law only applies to certain groups of people, and it doesn't apply to we the people, and operates as a contract. Okay? Positive law is law actually and specifically adopted by proper authority for the government of an organized jural society, and that's taken from Black's Law Dictionary, 5th edition. Now, so positive law, you know, and this is one thing that there's a friend of mine in Canada that's done a bunch of research. His name's Patrick Ellis. And, you know, the income tax in Canada, the Income Tax Act, was only read once. Well, and so they're supposed to read it 3 times. So and what they do is they just deliberately do things like that. Some of these acts don't have, you know, maybe the president doesn't sign or there's no royal assent. I mean, there's all sorts of little defects that they just go ahead and put them in there, so they're not positive law. They mean nothing. And if you read the acts, I mean, it says right in there. It talks about it. I mean, and that's the reason I like doing what I do, quite frankly, because, you know, there's millions of these codes, rules, and regulations, and all I need to do is I need to go into the definition section and see that it doesn't apply to me. And that's all I need to know. And so we're going to actually go into some of these, some Canadian ones, some Texas ones, some U.S. ones. And we're going to see how they don't apply to anybody. This is taken from the Office of Law Revision Council's website, U.S. House of Representatives. Now, if you look where the highlighted part is, it says certain titles of the code have been enacted in a positive law. The text of those titles is legal evidence of the laws contained in those titles. The other titles of code are prima facie evidence. Okay, here's another word that we're going to talk about, okay? Prima facie. Okay? The other titles of the code are prima facie evidence of the laws contained in those titles. And then it lists a bunch of titles that are positive law. And we're not even going to talk about those. We're going to talk about the non-positive law, okay? And now look at this. These are all non-positive law titles. Domestic security, okay? The crooks at the border. None of those guys operate under positive law. They don't have a shred of authority. Agriculture, aliens and nationality, banking, trade and commerce. If you think about it, I mean, none of that affects we the people. Why would it be positive law? It doesn't need to be, right? It's all trade and commerce, conservation, customs and duties. None of that has anything to do with we the people. Hospitals, asylums, Indians, internal revenue. You know the Internal Revenue Code's not positive law? I took them to the Supreme Court. I have to tell you about that sometime. Intoxicating liquors. None of this stuff is positive law. What's that got to do with we the people? None of it does. Colorability. This is a Canadian court citation. Actually, it's out of a book. A doctrine invoked when a statute is addressed to a matter outside jurisdiction, though it bears the formal trappings of a matter within jurisdiction of the enacting legislature. Well, Yeah. Colorable. In appearance, but not in substance what it claims to be. That's, again, the Dictionary of Canadian Law. Color means an appearance, a semblance, a simulacrum, as distinguished from that which is real. A prima facie. Remember that word, prima facie? A prima facie, or apparent right, hence a deceptive appearance, a plausible assumed exterior, concealing a lack of reality, a disguise, or a pretext. Whoa. Colorable, that which is an appearance only, and not in reality what it purports to be. Hence counterfeit, feigned, having the appearance of truth. Notice they say appearance of truth. It says that up here too. It says, hence a deceptive appearance. Okay? So this is another word. Okay? Appearance. The appearance of something. Okay? Colorable. An appearance, that which is an appearance only and not in reality. Okay? Color of law means the appearance or semblance without the substance of legal right. Misuse of power possessed by virtue of state law and made possibly only because the wrongdoer is clothed with authority of state is action taken under color of law. What do you think is going on out here? It's all color of law. They don't have a shred of authority. And you're reading their statutes. That's exactly what it is. Prima facie, another one of those words. At first sight, on the first appearance, on the face of it, so far as can be judged from the first disclosure. Presumably, another one. Okay, remember, presumably, this is another word that we're going to talk about. A fact presumed to be true unless disproved by some evidence to the contrary. Okay? So, essentially what they're doing, if you put all this stuff together, is they're making presumptions. Okay? Isn't that what goes on in court? They presume certain things, and unless you defeat them. And what my procedure does is I defeat them before they ever see you on the radar. Okay? That's why they got me in their system of sovereignty. They don't want to talk to me. Okay? Because I have them right where it hurts. If they were to do anything to me, I'd have them removed. Okay? And I can't tell you how many people I've had removed. Okay? The Attorney General, I sent one of these, only it was about maybe 4 or 5 pages longer, to the Pennsylvania Attorney General. And he sent me back a letter. One of his flunkies did, actually. Sent me back a letter saying that we're going to go ahead and violate your rights under the color of law, essentially is what it said. Okay? And so I went and attached that and the letter he sent back to a criminal complaint, and I sent it to the Chief Justice of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court and the U.S. Attorney over there and anybody else I could think of. And that was less than a year ago. And if you go to the Pennsylvania Attorney General's website right now, you'll see that they have an acting Attorney General. That means he left his office before his term was up, too. See? I'm telling you, we do really have a lot of good and honest public servants. If you lay the foundation properly and you build a case against them, 9 times out of 10, you'll never have to proceed. But if you do, you got them where it hurts. Okay? And that's what we're going to talk about today, is how to lay a foundation, how to build a case against them, and how to get them removed. And you could, you know, maybe someday, I file lawsuits, but I'm extremely belligerent, and so I haven't won any yet. But I guarantee you they don't want to talk to me after I'm done with them. Anyways, but again, maybe somebody will get that down to where they can start getting some awards and stuff like that. But certainly, you know, it's amazing. I can't tell you how many people I removed. And you have to understand,